Hey folks, welcome. This is the Maine Prepper. Alright, we're going to be making this CQB sling. And we talked about it a bit yesterday, but in case you didn't tune in, it's a 2-point sling, which means, and this is my training aid toy, but I'm going to use the same type of equipment, including sling and everything else that we possibly can. I'm not allowed to have a weapon in the barracks just yet, but so I've got an airsoft type toy, but I do have everything else is real, and that's okay to have this stuff. Just can't have a firearm. Therefore, we're going to train, and many of you, when you're training at home, you're going to find it expedient to use something like an airsoft type weapon. So this is a 2-point sling, meaning it's affixed on 2 points to my weapon. A single point only hooks on 1 point, usually here or someplace here behind the pistol grip. And that is affixed to your equipment. The problem with a single point is when you drop it, it's hanging right here and banging against your body when you have to move. And usually if you're being shot at, you're going to be wanting to shoot and move. Don't just stand still like John Wayne in the middle of the street. The way you put this on, put your head through, and then put your shooting hand or shooting arm through the sling. And now it's held up in this position here. It has flexibility. It also has the ability to be held with one hand. I can hold this hand out here. This hand I can hold, and I can actually get good side-by-side picture. I can fight with one hand with this sling. The primary part of this sling is the bungee cord that you see here exposed from underneath this hydration tube cover. And this is absolutely, those of you that guessed correctly, this is just a piece of rubber from a bicycle tire tube. And on the front is an HK clip. All right. The bungee cord is the big stuff. It's 1/2 inch. Let me show you a comparison. This is the normal stuff. Stuff that you usually get when you get a bungee cord. It's this thick or maybe a little thicker. You don't want to use the big thick rubber straps. It just doesn't have the give. And looking at an end view, this is pretty robust. And we'll look at all of these components a little bit later when we get into the materials list. Commercially available slings themselves usually have some notion, or at least credence paid to bungees. And this one is like an airsoft type toy, but I got it for $7, and it had more than $7 worth of parts in it and nylon. So I thought I could take this apart, and I got $5 worth of HK clips alone on it. Okay, so it's got this bungee action going here inside of this nylon sleeve. And I mean, I wouldn't use this for a combat sling or anything, and I didn't really want to use it for a training sling after I got to using it, because I thought, this isn't what I train with. This that I have on is what I normally use. So whatever you get something good, or better yet, join me in making one. When you do, whatever you do want to get something that has some kind of bungee action to it. And you'll see why later on. But essentially, when you're getting in and out of vehicles, you're climbing in and out of buildings, you're running through the woods, you need to have that little bit of stretch and that give. And you'll see what I mean when you start going out and we start doing CQB type work together. All right, and so I made a couple of these, and they're a little bit different size. And I put one on my shotgun, my combat shotgun. And this one, of course, is going to go when I get back home on my rifle. And who knows, I might make another one. I got another piece of cord over there. But the hydration tube cover, I've got to find a cheaper source. $7 for this piece of cover alone. And that's a bit high, but that's not bad. So, hey, let's get some coffee. We'll go sit in the other room and maybe put on some YouTube videos and visit and do some man crafting. All right, bye. Okay, let's work from bottom to top. Closest to us, we have a 4-foot piece of 1/2 inch bungee cord. Now this is the stuff that they use for, you'll see, for kayaking and rafting, for doing tie downs of equipment. 1/2 inch bungee cord, and you want the heavy duty stuff. Let me show you what a piece of it looks like from the end. It's essentially looks like that. It's a bunch of small little cables all in here. I don't know if you can see that or not, but there are literally hundreds. I forget how many, I can't count it. Looks like about 100 smaller nylon or rubberized strands. Okay, this is pretty strong, and then the outside of it is a flexible nylon, and it is a woven sleeve. Right above that is a hydration tube cover. Now I got this online, I don't know exactly where to find this size sleeving, but this is the perfect size. It's hydrationtubecovers.com makes this, but gosh, you can find these by a lot of manufacturers. And all it is a piece of tubing that's made by folding over a piece of nylon and stitching it. And it's pretty well stitched. I like the stitching. This is the single most expensive piece of this sling. It's about $7 plus shipping and handling. My goodness. And then of course we have sharp knife, scissors, some duct tape. You don't have to have duct tape. It can be just regular tape, and you'll see why in a minute. Cigarette lighter, of course. A couple of pieces of inner tube. Some parachute cord, of course. Always the parachute cord. Always. And your HK clips. And maybe a beverage. I'll have coffee. What will you have? So when we come back, we're going to look at actually constructing the sling. First, we're going to take our nylon tubing and we're going to slide it over the bungee cord. And that's a pretty simple process. At least so it would seem, right? A little bit harder when you're standing over the camera and doing it, but essentially put the tubing inside. And you'll have enough to run it out both ends, about 6-8 inches. Okay, good. Now what I've done is I've taken the liberty of tying off the other end so that we can see what right looks like. This is what we're going to wind up doing. We're going to do a bite. We need to leave a loop just about the size of a pencil on one end here inside, and we're going to frap. That's just wrapping this parachute cord around. So for this, I have about a 6-foot piece of parachute cord already pre-cut. I think that's about the length I'll need. And you get yourself a couple of pieces of tape. Alright, so duct tape is good. It's a little bit stronger. You can use anything you've got. Tear yourself off about 4-inch piece and tear it into about 3 strips. Alright? Try not to stick it to itself. This 100-mile-an-hour tape is quite sticky. We want to take and make a bite. We want the bite to be just about our fist size, okay? Can you see how one end comes out past my fingers and the other end is about like that? Now I've got big hands, so you want to do this, okay? Like so. And what we don't want to do is have both ends done so that this tubing is caught up underneath. It actually needs to be slightly on the outside, okay? So the other end is already done, and I've slipped the tubing down here, and I've got it down a little bit far, and that's okay. So that's what it needs to look like when we're done. All right? This tape is only going to be here for a short period of time, so you just want enough on here to be able to hold this in place so it doesn't keep running away from you while you're trying to work with it. It's very frustrating. And I leave myself a little tab so I can grab it later. Okay, and again, this is going to disappear in just a little while. All right, now run about 4 fingers worth past the end. Make yourself a loop going up to here. This loop will need to kind of stay in place. So what you can do to help yourself is take a piece of tape and put it in there. It keeps it from running away from you. This parachute cord is very slippery. It's always trying to escape. That's why they have us use it in SEER school. Just kidding. So we can escape. All right, now you're going to take your first wrap over like so. And you're going to want to feed this through. So we're making sort of an overhand knot on the top. Okay. So essentially, you want to come back underneath here. Okay. Now come back the other way, right?
and we're going to come tight. And each wrap needs to be tight. And you want to dress it down as you go. Okay, you don't want to wait till you're all the way done. You want to dress as you go. Tight and dress. Tight and dress. Tight and dress. Tight and dress. Tight, dress. Tight, dress. Tight, dress. Tight, dress. For some reason, I'm thinking about a woman I know. Oh, tight, dress. Tight, and dress. I wonder why. It must be Freudian. Tight, and dress. And dress. Okay, now we don't have to worry about this piece escaping on us anymore. It's pretty much going to be held in place. So we can take this off of here. Hopefully I've lifted myself away to grab it. Probably not, knowing me. And that's okay. If you have to, you can back off a little bit and grab your end. In fact, I did. I hid the end from myself. There we go. And you can grab a pencil or something. Okay. Tight, dress, tight, dress, tight, dress, tight. Okay, now we have just enough left where I can do this. I'm going to run this through the eye hole. And you can pull back a little bit through here if you need to get a little bit more of an eye hole. Get a spoon or a pencil and open that hole up if you need to act like a sort of a marlin spike. I'm just going to pull back a little bit more. Oh, sorry, from the wrong side. You want to come from the back side through. My bad. Like so. Because when we finish up, I want this line on the same side as this line. And you'll see why in just a second. All right, now hold finger and thumb like so. Grab this piece and pull it down. You don't want to pull it all the way through. You just want to pull it down just about flush, okay? And that's good. Now it's tight in there. All right, we're going to need to make a knot to tie this off now. There are a couple of ways people can do this. One of them is you can just simply tie a knot off here and burn them down and melt them. That would probably work just fine. I'm going to tie it so that this knot, is up inside here in this end where it's going to be a bit out of the way. You could also tie it down on this end. Speaking of this end, let's go ahead and take our tape off from the other end of this knot. For we don't need it there anymore. Or you can try to lay the knot down here. It's up to you. I think this end here is going to have a few more pieces of parachute cord running through it, right? But in the interim, I'm going to go ahead and tie off down here. I'll go ahead and put it on this end. Nope. Let's do it down here. It seems like you're always going to have a little parachute cord wasted, and I try not to do that. Unfortunately, it just always works out that way. There's always little pieces that you wind up throwing away. Now there's a couple of options on this knot. You could come back around and tie it off on the other side if you feel it's more balanced. But what you don't want to do is have a big knot up here in the middle. You'll see why when we go to put that piece of bicycle tire tube over the outside. What I want to do really is get a small tight knot down here on this end. And we're going to cut this knot and we're going to melt it. And that's going to give us extra strength. Okay, nice square knot, yes. Now we want to snug this bad boy down. Okay. All right, now we're going to get our scissors and we're going to cut and burn. Slash and burn. Actually, not slash and burn. Just going to cut and burn. I'm going to cut off fairly close, about 1/4 of an inch away. on both sides. Now some may say, well, shouldn't you tie a 1/2 inch off to secure that so it doesn't slip? And you're right, parachute cord will do that. In this case, I'm going to actually melt the knot though. First, I want to just burn these ends off. It's just habitual with me whenever I cut parachute cord to always burn the ends off. Okay, now I'm going to want to melt the knot. And you got to be careful. What you want to do is you want to heat up this parachute cord. Okay, and it's getting black. And now you'll see a lot of this goo on my cigarette lighter, and that's because I've been using it to melt parachute cord, and it's easier than grabbing a wet rag and all that stuff. I just melt this on like so. And what I want to do is I'm actually going to melt this knot so that it's not going to come untied. Now the inner tube over the outside is going to be so tight on here that it's going to actually hold this. Okay, did you see how I had a little blue flame going and I got the parachute cord burning? That's kind of what we want to go for when we really get this melted down. By the way, did you know that when you do PVC pipe, you're not gluing it together, you're actually welding it together. You're doing essentially what we're doing here with the pipe. You're getting it so superheated with the chemical reaction that you're actually gluing it by welding. So they don't call it gluing. When you're in the industry, you call it welding the pipe together. All right, now we have this done on both ends. Go ahead and do this for your other end. And while you do that, I'm going to take a break. All right, this is what right looks like. And all it is going to be 4 loops of parachute cord. It's a single piece parachute cord about 2 foot long, and we loop it through here 4 times, and we tie it off with a single square knot, as you see where my thumb is, and melt it down real good. And don't worry about it looking pretty, because it's not going to be seen. It's going to be hidden underneath that piece of rubber tire tube. Okay, so this is what right looks like. Now we're going to construct it on the other ends ourselves. So get yourself a 2 foot piece of parachute cord, cut it and burn it on both ends. Okay. And always try to burn as soon as I cut my paracord, so I remember. If you don't melt it, and by the way, the tip of the flame is a lot hotter than the base. Sometimes I'll see people trying to melt a piece of parachute cord and they'll stick the there like that, and that'll work, but this is quicker. Get the tip up there. All right. 2 foot piece of parachute cord. Get your HK clip. Feed your parachute cord through here. Hang on to a piece of it. Now we're going to feed through. Don't go through that hole. Go through this bottom loop. Alrighty. Snug this down. It doesn't matter right now how far we are, but this is going to be about 2 finger width in there. We don't want it right up against there because it won't give us as much swivel. It won't be as flexible for us. And we're just going to feed through. And even as clumsy as I am, I'm able to sort of do this. Make it not look too cumbersome. All right. And don't worry about getting it exact right now, the distance in there. You'll be able to change this as you go along. Until you tie the knot, everything is flexible. All right. Now as we're feeding through here, the more of the parachute cord we fill in the hole, the harder it gets to feed through. So each push through is a little bit more difficult than the last. If you find you're having a problem getting your parachute cord through the hole, sometimes what you can do is you can get your end melted down and then dress it off. What happens sometimes is you get a hanger off the side and it's snagging up. You can also wet your fingers and pull on it. Don't recommend that too much, especially if you forget to wet your fingers. If you do burn your finger, go grab a pickle. Don't eat it, put your finger on it. You can eat it later. I should clarify that. Sounds like a home remedy. If you burn your finger, feed your pickle to a dog. No, if you burn your finger, grab a pickle. There's something on the alum. I don't know what the chemicals are when they make the pickle, but it does help to prevent the burn from turning into a blister. All right, now we got 4 loops through there, right? Okay. Now we're going to take on the back side, and we want to tie off a nice square knot, right? See if I got it right. Right over left, left over right. No, you failed. Gosh, I always get it backwards. Always. All right, there we go. See, you're not as high speed as you thought you were, Maine Prepper. Now take this and get this bad boy tight. Okay, you see this one end is pretty close to already where I need it to be. I just need to trim this one here a little bit. Take cigarette lighter and burn. Burn, baby, burn. All right. Again, try to get the tip of the flame on there. That's going to be the hottest. And then you'll see what I do is I take the back side of the lighter and I use it to smooth that down. Careful if you get this burning to not let it land on you, because it'll burn a hole through you. This is another reason why I tell people when you do blacksmithing, don't get any kind of a composite shoe. Same thing with the tactical gloves. Make sure they're leather, okay? Range gloves, no mechs or leather. Nylon gloves are not good. You get them hot, they catch on fire, they're going to burn through you. Okay, so that knot is melted down. It's ugly, but it's melted down. Now we're going to take it, dress it, and we want that knot to be back inside of this hole as much as we can. We want it to be out of the way. Okay? Not going to get it perfectly in there, but there we go. All right, that's where I want that knot. Okay, and this will swivel up here. Next, we're going to put on the inner tubes, and I'll show you that in just a second. All right, get yourself a piece of parachute cord and slip it through one end of your HK clip. And I got a lot more than I need here, but just for illustration, you're definitely going to want something to hang on to, because this is going to be the part of the project that won't be as easy as the rest. This is going to fight you. But the thing is, the tighter this piece of rubber is on there, the better off you're going to be in the end. Okay? So, this is the easy part. Getting started. And then you're going to find it gets hard as we go along. Now I've got to switch hands because these fingers are a little bit more, well, there's more of them on this hand. Missing a piece of a finger on the other one. So I guess I still have it. It's just it helps me to count in fractions. God knew I was bad at math. He knew I needed help. So he allowed me to cut my finger off. Alrighty. The hardest part's going to get it to go over this piece of knot here. Once we get past all of this, it's going to get slightly less impossible. Now, something that you can use is a bit of foot powder. That helps, I found. Foot powder, by the way, is not just a talcum drying agent. It also has a lubricant in it, and that helps you. That helps when you have to keep in mind that it's also going to make the outside of this a bit slippery too, but it's going to help things kind of glide over the top. I have soldiers put foot powder on, not because it keeps their feet dry so much. That's part of it. The other part of the equation is that it keeps their toes and everything from rubbing together as much and causing a lot of the blister problems that you have around the balls of the feet. All right. And what we're going to do is we're going to just keep working and working and working on this. I'm not going to sit here and show you all that. That's boring, but we will get it done in a second. Periodically, as you're working this down, you'll want to actually take and bunch some of the rubber down this way. It's going to make it a little easier. And you're just going to either use your finger or a pair of pliers. But you can see how this is moving down. Make sure when you do, you press against the bottom of your frapping with your other hand. Otherwise, you could push the frapping apart. You're going to see why when we get to this knot, it was so important that we melt it down flat, like we did, and have it snug and out of the way. All right, when we come back, you'll see this is all the way down there. And no, I won't do it by Photoshop. I'll actually do it for real. You can grab also and pull this way. What you don't want to do is have tension catching up on parts up here that really you can avoid. So you could even pull this all the way down to here if you wanted and expose this like it's going to be when we have it finished. All right? And then that'll help you when pulling the rubber down this way. So right about now you're thinking, you know what, I'll go pay $70 and buy that real expensive sling that I saw online. And right about now, I'm thinking I'm going to beat you to it. But we must endeavor to persevere. We must not quit. We must finish what we started. We're preppers. We are the Renaissance people. Look, we're almost there. We only have one other end to do. Whew. What in the world did I get into with this guy's channel? This guy's, man, it's killing me. Got me PTing all the time. Eating food that I don't like. And doing arts and crafts with parachute cord. All right. Another ½ inch, and we're done. Repeat after me. I will not quit. So you see you have to kind of push this way with your hand and try to force this rubber down over this frapping. Let me tell you, when we get done, this rubber is going to hold that frapping rock solid. It's not going to go anywhere. I don't know about you, but they turned the heater on in the barracks. They have these tropical people that love the heat, and I love the cold. I'm a Viking, damn it. Okay, I feel like you're putting a polar bear in a zoo and turning the heater up. Okay, so that is what right needs to look like. If you want to, you can work it all the way down past here, but I'll turn the camera off because that's boring. And that is what right looks like. Okay, that's going to hold this snug and firm for us. That's going to keep everything in place. This cord here is going to be tight on both ends. We'll do both ends here, but the first end was a little bit harder. It always is because we're learning, right? Of course, this is my second sling to make with the HK clip and the rubber. We didn't use the inner tube on the ones that we had downrange. They were okay, but I always felt that was a weakness, was this parachute cord would come apart. I like this a lot better on here with this piece of rubber. So let's go do the other end now, shall we? All right. Okay, well, you don't have to say all right, but just do the other end. All right, folks, and there we have it. Good job, we're completed. I say we celebrate by going out and buying ourselves a weapon to go along with this extra sling that I have. All right. Hey, thanks, folks. This has been the Maine Prepper. If you find you made this too short, don't cut the whole rubber piece off the end. Just cut off right here Very carefully, don't cut into your bungee. Just cut off from right about here enough so that you can get to this parachute cord down here and put a longer piece in here. And just construct it the same way we did earlier. Just stretch it out a little bit further. Too easy, right? All right, folks. This has been the Maine Prepper, and this is a good CQB sling. There's a lot of them out there. I'm not going to be one of these snobs and say there's only one way and that's my way. And the same thing will go for training. We'll have a talk about training and training snobs as we go along. All right, folks, thank you so much. I'll see you guys tomorrow.